Good morning. Good morning. It is Monday morning, the 26th of January. You're probably saying to yourself, where has the month gone? Well, don't worry. The more you have on your plate, the faster the year goes. So keep piling it on, keep having fun. Thank you for joining us this morning on the Leadership Huddle, where Gio and I tackle everyday problem with unique leadership perspectives for everyday leaders just like you. And today we're tackling this aspect of life, Gio, that you and I were talking about, where doing good, being a good human being, and engaging in something that leaves me making a contribution, whether to my employees, to my community, or even to myself, ends up being a source of guilt. So we're asking this question, the hidden guilt behind being a good leader this morning. And I want to begin with this question, Gio. What are you using to measure your heart? You know, I'm a good human being. I want to do good in the world. But what am I using to measure the extent of the contribution I'm making? How is the contribution I'm making leading me? Am I measuring my contribution on the recognition I get? Am I measuring the contribution I make based on how much the people I'm serving need me? And what you and I have been discovering in this conversation is that at some point in time, without even noticing it, the good I want to do, the service I'm extending to the world, to my community, stops being a self-expression, like a way I express myself, and it begins to become a burden. Oh boy, when it gets to that point, that's what makes today's conversation really critical. Today's conversation is not about stopping serving, but it's about creating the kind of freedom that was there all along when you first began. So, Gio, what do you want to say about that to begin?
Yeah, actually, I like this conversation because it's been recent for me a feeling of exhaustion, if you will, with guilt, and also like I shouldn't stop. Like I shouldn't stop, but at the same time, with us with an emotion of not enough, right? So I was a I don't know what how to point to it better. What points it better? If it's exhaustion, like I'm tired, or am I unfulfilled? And as I was looking at it, it was a bit of what you were pointing to. I couldn't see, it was kind of in my blind spot. I couldn't see what I was measuring my worth against. I couldn't see that. I couldn't say it, but I wasn't feeling fulfilled. I wasn't feeling enough. And as I was having conversations with you, and as I was looking at for myself, this is a familiar place. I noticed that I was feeling incomplete with my bank account. You know, is it enough? Or my impact? Have we done enough? You know, and certainly recognition. Has it been enough? And I couldn't find myself ever being freed. My entire life, I've never been freed by measuring myself against those things. But apparently, it's a familiar place where most of us find ourselves at some point. Has it been enough?
Yeah.
You
You know,
know?
just to make it, like, bring it on home, it's like wanting to have children, right? And everybody loves their children. Gio, I know how much you love Maya. And that same love I'm pointing to is the same love that people have for their work, what they call their causes in life sometimes. And what this conversation is pointing to is that I work to fulfill the cause. I work to make a contribution to my community. I work to deliver what I want to deliver to my clients and my employees. And yet, at some point in time, I begin to discover that when they don't say thank you, when they don't applaud me, when my bank account is not reflecting it, when the productivity of the employees is not such, that which I loved so much begin to feel like a burden. And as you're pointing to, I want to quit. And there's some very familiar ways in which that shows up in leadership, isn't there, Gio?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And it's slippery slope, you know, when when and I think this happens to most of us, right? Most people unconsciously equate, or most leaders, but most people, I would say, unconsciously equate income with work, with value, results with goodness, or productivity with enough worth.
Hmm.
If I am productive, then I'm someone. And it's a very slippery slope because self-worth collapses. There's a there's a massive difference between who I am and the results I create. These are just two different things.
Yeah, two different worlds. And then there's also the world of where uh, I'm out there doing quote unquote good. And it's almost as if I'm doing it in an empty forest and no one is looking. It feels lonely, like no recognition. And what I'm discovering is that there are times when I and maybe leaders substitute recognition for fulfillment. The applause feels good, doesn't it? But it's unstable. The recognition that comes measures visibility. It doesn't necessarily measure how much the actions I'm taking are aligned with what at the core of my being in terms of the reason for my existence, right? Uh, the recognition may reward performance, but it certainly doesn't begin to touch or tap into why I'm doing what I'm doing in the world. And inevitably, when I collapse or mistake recognition for fulfillment, when the recognition disappears, like it happens to many leaders, when the recognition disappears, we don't know how to rest. We don't know how to stop without guilt. You know? And in a way, the way I've found myself playing this game, Gio, where I'll put on this cloak of false humility, where I disappear inside the service. As an individual, I don't exist. So I turn serving into erasing or hiding or putting myself on the back burner. I keep giving, right? Even when the cost is my own peace, my own enjoyment, my own time. I keep giving because I keep thinking to myself, if I stop doing this good, then I'm a selfish person. You know? So it's not because I'm selfish. I think people keep doing the things they're doing, even though it's not fulfilling them, because the guilt has replaced their capacity to choose. So leaders, whether in companies and families and churches, find themselves at that point where the guilt takes over and they never stop doing what it is they've been doing so that they can continue to be good for themselves. I've been in those shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so so I like to make this conversation. I want to bring it home a little bit and have for those of us who find ourselves identify with this conversation to recognize maybe a place where you can be right now, or maybe a place where you find yourself at some point, right? Where it is, man, it's somewhat like disappointed from the people you serve, like the clients you serve and the people you serve and your employees. You're like massively disappointed. Like, man, I've given my entire life to this cause. I've been giving my entire life to this company. I've been giving my entire life to these clients or this community, and I'm not getting enough back. I'm not getting recognition back. I'm not getting enough money back. I'm not getting and but somehow you find yourself, and if this doesn't happen yet, it will happen, right? This is a very familiar place for most of us. For I'm going to say for all human beings, and it will happen where you can't stop, because if you stop, you feel guilty. Like, man, your whole self-worth is around the value you create and the contribution you are and who you are for your employees. And, it's like, so I can't stop. I feel guilty about it. And then this is very sneaky. Resentment builds in. Resentment to the people you serve. But you can't see it, right? Because guilt is there for you. So what we're saying here is we're not giving you like we're not creating this so that now you're free to quit. You're free to quit if you want to, but most of us don't. We just don't know how to work without the resentment and the guilt, you know. But this conversation is so that you have a space to be free to serve, a space to be free without creating a villain or without creating a storm for yourself, or like you know when you want to break up with someone, Sorrel, you know that at some point you get it, you want to break up with that person, or you want to stop this partnership, right? Whether it's a business or personal, and you want to, but you've got to create a massive storm so that you can break up with that person. You can't just have a conversation. No, I got to make you a villain. I got to become myself a villain and create a massive storm so that then we have a real reason, to break up this partnership or this relationship. What we're saying is that you don't need that reason. What we're saying is that you can align yourself with align yourself with what you're about. And here's the thing, this is what I found, Sorrel. When I give myself to be in the inquiry of that conversation, right? When I align myself to to my purpose, to what I'm about, the results that I produce are irrelevant for me, because I am walking in the shoes of the person that I want to be. The results are just kind of data. Like, oh, okay, I got this. Let me see how I make it better. Progress is always exciting. Whether people recognize my work or not, it's irrelevant too. It's cool. It's really cool. But it's not the thing. It's not the thing because you're walking inside of this tunnel of purpose. And you bring others into this tunnel, but not to recognize you. It's to expand the purpose. And sometimes you have one person, sometimes you're just alone in your basement creating your craft, and sometimes you're on a stage. But whether you're alone or whether you're on a stage or wherever you are, what fulfills you is not the recognition of others. It's not recognition itself. That doesn't fulfill it, because it's about you become something aligned with your heart. Or rather say, one aligns with what one really cares about. And then
Yeah.
freedom happens. Go ahead, Sorrel.
And the funny thing, Gio, is that it always begins with choosing to do something that I say will leave me fulfilled in life. And at the beginning, I work, I toil, I do good. And then I begin to collapse the things you were talking about, collapse recognition with fulfillment, collapse making a lot of money with doing well, collapse my productivity with being good, right? And the question that I grapple with is, we talk about fulfillment a lot. So what is fulfillment? And in this conversation, we begin to discover that fulfillment isn't anything that we can measure. It shows up in very counterintuitive way. Like it may show up in the fact that internally I can be peaceful and quiet. Internally, I can take actions without having to defend my actions or justify them. I can rest and pause and not be doing anything without having to justify that. Or even be generous and give, not waiting for something in return, but giving just for the sake of giving with no resentment whatsoever. So,
but it's not, I like what you're pointing to, but it's not because you're a good person.
no.
It's not because you want to be an example, because that's when the exhaustion happens.
Yeah.
I'm going to give and I'm not going to expect anything in return because I'm a good human being and I'm going to be an example of that. That's the slippery slope. That's when exhaustion begins to happen. That's when guilt begins to happen. Because although I'm really giving not to get anything in return, although I'm doing that, however, I haven't aligned myself to the degree with my purpose, to the degree where it's actually authentic.
Yeah.
It's like I read this book a while ago, Sorrel, that it says good things happen to good people, you know, and it was a significant amount of evidence, right, for the way the book was built, for all the good things that happen to good people. And then I found myself doing a lot of good all the time, everywhere. And then nothing was happening over here with me. But I wouldn't dare to say anything to anyone. How dare I would, that would be so not humble. So I started
So
resenting
not like a good person.
exactly. So I started resenting the book. Liar, good things don't happen to good people. You're lying, right? And I noticed that exhaustion in my life, right? Until someone else came and another mentor said, it's not about being good, it's about depending on what you're looking for. At the time, I was looking for income. And then, he said it's about providing value to others. If you provide value to the right people, you get money. But it's not about being a good human being. So it was a paradigm shift. It was like, okay, so it's about creating value. So I don't know how do one measures fulfillment, how one goes about it. I don't know. I think I love the question more than the answer I could ever give. But here's what I found, Sorrel, for myself. Given that fulfillment is not a place one arrives, like after climbing certain amount of stairs, you get to fulfillment. It's not a place to arrive. It's a place that one creates for oneself. Given that that's true for me, Sorrel, I've been settling here, Sorrel. And where I've been settling is that I'm not here to serve. Like, that's not my purpose in life. That's something I create. But that's not like an inherited reason that I was born for. Like, it's not an obligation. I wasn't born to serve. It, when I was looking at my life in that way, I was born to serve. It left me in a space of obligation, not freedom.
Yeah,
And in
like
a very
literally.
quiet resentment. But
Yeah.
no one would know. You couldn't tell because I'm good at hiding that. So what I've discovered for myself, Sorel, is, but I want to serve. Okay, fine. I'm not here to serve. That's authentic. I wasn't born for that. There's no obligation here, but I like it. I like the whole thing about serving. I really do in my own craft, in my own industry, in my own world. I like it. I don't want to stop doing it. Maybe I am here to be my creation, whatever it is. Not as an obligation, but as my creation. And I started to discover freedom in serving that way.
As you point to that, Jill, my own discovery has been that I'm from Haiti. A lot of people know that. In fact, I have many friends when they meet somebody from Haiti, the first thing they do is they call me, "Hey, I met somebody from Haiti. You got to meet them," right? So it's as if when I left Haiti at the age of 17, given the conditions in Haiti, I felt as if I owed my country service. So I begin to relate to serving as a debt, not just a debt I owe them, but there's something in return that they owe me. Everything we've been talking about earlier, right? So what if I begin to discover, what if service was just an expression? Like you're saying, I love what I do. I want to continue doing it. So therefore, I'm going to continue doing it, but not from the space where I owe it to the world, or I owe it to my country, or I owe it to my family. And in that space, there began to be a lightness where I am. Like I could do what I'm doing, not expecting any results, not expecting any recognition, and I could begin to feel and be with the moments when it feels heavy, when it's no longer me serving for the sake of serving or doing what I'm doing because I love it. And it's in that space, Gio, making that shift left me being in a place where I could continue to do what I'm doing and also stop doing it when that's what's appropriate in a moment or in a space in my life, without the guilt, without the resentment.
Such a great conversation, Sorel. I love this conversation, and I love to open up more and more layers of this. And I love to hear from some of you. What are you hearing for yourself, or any yeah buts, or any comments, or any questions? I would love to hear what's opening up for you, good people in the world. Hey,
Karina,
Karina,
it's so good to see
great to see
you.
you here.
Happy New Year to you. You on mute.
There we go. Let me try it again. Happy New Year. Well, let's see. It's a great conversation. I think what I hear is like an in order to, and
Mhm.
where that kind of creates um like a false, like that there's what it is that what are you committed to with your business or your contribution to the world or that combination. And when there's like, oh, I'm going to be a good person in order to get great business, or you know what I mean, that there's something, there's like a gap there. That's what I hear in like the
Yeah.
speaking. And if I look for myself, I can see that that taps right into, like, oh, I just want people to like me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna ruffle the wrong feathers. I'm gonna be nice or whatever, but am I being true to myself? Right. And so that's what I can see out of this conversation. And I'm just looking in life around examples, whether it's in leadership or whether it's in my business or how I work with the people who work with me, or even how I maybe even talk to myself, like, okay, if you're going to do this, then you are going to, I have a certain thing, like if I ever have a good sale or something like that, I like to go treat myself. I like to go do something that's celebratory, maybe that I wouldn't do otherwise. But then it's like, well, why am I suffering in those times when like I haven't, produced the result that I want to be producing? And then it's like, oh, I produced the result that I've been trying to produce, or I, intended to produce, and now I can celebrate. But as opposed to like, I could celebrate any day just because it's a new day. I don't know if I don't know
Yeah,
that that's making sense, but that's what
that's
I'm getting
making
out
a
of this
lot of sense.
conversation.
You're like constructing in your speaking the box that it is
The
to
box.
be doing what I do or serving who I serve in order
Hmm.
to,
Hmm.
whatever the in order to is, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Wow. Thank
Yeah,
you,
yes.
Karina.
So that's what I'm hearing
Thank
inside of
you.
this conversation for myself. I noticed there was a trend of people off camera, so I was like, okay, I'll be off camera.
Thank you. Yes, no, we love the
Thank you,
cameras,
Karina.
and you're welcome to be here without the cameras. Thank you, Corina. So great to hear from you, and so great that you're here. Go ahead, Maria. Maria Sangria, you have your hand up, but I don't know if you had your hand up because you wanted to say something, but you're not saying anything. No, you're on mute, Maria. I think your microphone is not working, Maria Sangria. Oh no, Maria, I know you're saying something
No.
amazing. Go ahead and type it, Maria, and we'll say it for you. Yeah, so thank you, Corina. And I really I want to build from something Corina was saying, Sorel, which is, oh, okay, so when I get the sale, then I can celebrate. And that's precisely kind of like what I was pointing to for me at the beginning. Once things are right, things are going on right. I have the right sales, I have the right team, I have the right results, once all things are right, then I can see that I've become somebody I like.
Maria fixed her audio.
Yeah, so that's precisely what this conversation is about, that maybe those are two different things. And there is freedom in discovering that these are results, the results that one gets, whether in business or whether in relationship, are not necessarily correlated with who you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
And
Maria. Go ahead,
and
Toro.
Okay,
and
can y'all hear my voice now?
now we can hear your voice, Maria.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. Good morning to everyone. And so, Yo Gio, what I'm really getting for myself is what you said regarding the difference between it being an obligation or a creation. And that just like uplifted me through the roof. And I want to say thank you for that. And there was one more thing. Oh, it allows for so much freedom. And I'm going to really look at all different areas. Like, where am I like held back? Because I'm just like, this is an obligation. I really just yuck. And instead, I'm going to grind that, toss it out the window, and have the freedom to really create, create, create. So thank you for that.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
for bringing
Maria.
that up, Maria. It's when Gio was speaking earlier, he said, "I'm not here to serve. Maybe I'm here to be." And I could hear in Karina speaking that until I achieve a specific result, I'll reserve being to reward myself for that result. I'll be when the results are right. I'll be when my bank account shows X. I'll be when the people recognize me. I'll be when they applaud. I'll be when I feel good about myself. And
Mhm.
you're pointing to, well, maybe they're just not correlated. I could be whenever, doing what I'm doing or not doing what I'm doing.
That is
Karina, you
so.
have your hand up again.
Yeah, I realized there was like not an addendum, but there was another thing. Um, this year, starting in January this year, I took on a new practice and I saw this interview with Serena Williams. And she was talking about this thing that she would say, which is something wonderful is about to happen. And then like I saw this other guy that was talking about that, like a video online. And he was kind of like an old school manifester guy. And I was just like, God, it's the simplest thing, you know? And I know that there's a certain camp and we say expecting miracles, expecting miracles. And I feel like that has almost become like wallpaper, you know, because I've heard it so many times, expecting miracles. And I still love expecting miracles. However, I have this year taken on this practice of saying, I wake up in the morning and I start thinking about all the things I should do or I could do or da 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 da. And then I say, something wonderful is about to happen today. And I've been living into something wonderful is about to happen today. And that, and amongst a variety of other shifts that I very consciously took, you know, starting January 1st, or even before January 1st, but really like a clear creation of allowing something wonderful to show up. Um, so I just wanted to add that in. I felt like it fit into the conversation. And then just a little sidebar about the celebrations. Like it's not that I don't, you know, celebrate until, you know, it's not like I don't have celebrations. It's just that I'd make a really specific point when I do something that I deem as like, oh, you did a good job, Karina. I make sure to celebrate it. But I'm noticing like I could be different about that practice, right? It's not like I beat myself up over the head, oh, you know, like up until I do that good thing. I just want to kind of put that in there. But I do know that there are definitely times that I'm like, oh my goodness, nothing's working out. And I'm creating more of nothing working out by focusing on the nothing working out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so even so inside of that space of making a celebration when I do something that I deem I did a good job, right? But I could do that more regularly. And taking on this practice, and that being said, taking on this practice of something wonderful is about to happen, um, I noticed that it's not like a fix it of going into some doom and gloom thought process, but it definitely is allowing a space for that wonder, allowing a space for that wonder. And then when something really wonderful does happen, which actually this year, like one thing after another wonderful thing has been happening, it's like, oh yeah, I planned for that. I aligned myself with the world of something wonderful is about to happen. Anyhow.
Something wonderful is about to happen, Karina.
And then the other day I saw this card, all these bumper stickers, and the bumper sticker that stood out the most was, oh, it's blurry, you can't see it. Was it says something wonderful is about to happen. It was like all these bumper stickers, and I just glanced. So it's like that thing when you say I'm shopping for a red car, and then you just see red cars everywhere or whatever, however you say that expression.
Yeah.
So now my studio assistants say that too.
Something wonderful is about to
So
happen.
it's a new conversation around a new created conversation. All right, back over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Gio, I think Maria had her hand up again.
I think it was always up, sort of.
I did. Okay. So
Okay.
what I also am very present to is that there's no inherent meaning on the purpose of life. And so instead of it being some obligation, it's a creation. And I love what you said, Yo Gio, regarding serving. So I just wanted to add that in the mix.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you so much. Thank you, Corina. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you for the opportunity to engage in these conversations. And we'll see you every Monday at 9 a.m. ready to rock and roll and to continue to discover different ideas and different questions that make a difference and propel your life into the direction you want.
Yeah. A unique perspective for leading to address everyday problems. So, you know, on this note, Gio, I'm thinking maybe leadership itself isn't about how much I give, how much I, you know, work myself out and get tired, or how indispensable I become. Maybe it's all about choosing to do and be right now. So thank you for being in this conversation. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. I mean, a great week. Bye-bye.
Well, it's a weekend somewhere.
Have a great day.